In the past, if you were looking for an affordable mobile laptop, you were forced to buy an RGB monstrosity that looked like it was designed by Daft Punk and JoJo Siwa. Well, HP thinks they have the answer to this problem. This is the HP ZBook Power G7. Let's take a look at it, shall we? The HP ZBook Power G7, or ZBook for the Americans, is a mobile workstation computer and is part of HP's overall Z lineup. The Z lineup contains desktops, monitors, and laptops. This particular unit is called the Power G7. It replaces the existing HP ZBook 15V. The idea is that this is a powerful mobile workstation that hopefully won't break the bank for most college students and other business professionals. This device sits directly above the HP ZBook Firefly 14 and 15 inch and below the HP ZBook Fury 15 inch. This device is generally excellent. The build quality on it is superb. It's rigid and solid, and it's not going anywhere. If you drop it on your foot, you'll have to get some stitches, but the computer will probably be just fine. The build quality is quite good. However, there is a small bit of flex right here on the chassis, especially if you push up from the bottom. Now, I initially assumed that this was because I had opened the device. I had taken off the bottom panel and then reassembled it. My assumption was that I didn't screw the bottom panel in tight enough, and that was what was causing it. However, fellow YouTuber Dove Computer Solutions did a review of this same product and discovered a similar issue. It is incredibly negligible, but it does bear mentioning. Some of the features on the X2 that I really appreciate are the fingerprint reader. It is an incredibly convenient feature to have. It makes logging in really easy. For a few extra dollars, you can get the Windows Hello IR webcam. This particular configuration does not have that. However, the fingerprint readers will suffice in most cases, and it's fairly secure. I spec'd out my laptop similarly to many college students and business professionals on a budget. It has a 10th gen Core i5 H series processor, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, and an NVIDIA Quadro P620 graphics card with 4 gigabytes of dedicated video memory. You can configure this device with more power if you need it. You can go up to an Intel Core i9 6-core CPU and an NVIDIA Quadro T2000 graphics card if you would like. You can also go up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. The screen on this particular device is quite nice. I opted for the 1080p 400 nit option. This particular unit has fairly good color accuracy and is also fairly bright for outdoor viewing environments. There is a touchscreen option available, however I wouldn't recommend upgrading to this because it has a peak brightness of 250 nits. Webcam on the HP ZBook Power is nothing to write home about. It's pretty mediocre overall. When it comes to webcams, Microsoft typically does the best job with this. Their Surface lineup feature the best webcams. So if that's important to you, I would highly consider those devices. The webcam on this device is 720p. It's fairly soft and fairly noisy, as you can see. I found that the speakers on this device are pretty good. There's not a lot of bass, but it does get fairly loud, so you should be able to fill a room with this device. The port selection on this particular device is excellent. It has 3 full-size USB Type-A ports, 1 USB Type-C port with Thunderbolt 3 capabilities, 1 full-size HDMI, a gigabit Ethernet port, a smart card reader, and a headphone microphone combo jack. The main problem is the lack of SD card slot. Every other device in HP's ZBook lineup, including the ZBook X2, which is literally a tablet, has an SD card slot. So the fact that this device does not have one is a little frustrating and annoying. However, HP's other devices have it, so if you really have to have an SD card slot, this may not be the device for you. The device's battery life is fairly good. I got around 5 to 6 hours of general productivity work with the 84 watt-hour battery that is included in this device. The keyboard is a strong point for this device. I found the key travel to be quite good and the key stabilization and consistency to be generally excellent. The keyboard also has 2 stages of backlighting. One thing I will note is that the keyboard is fairly quiet, which of course is fantastic for office environments, but it can sometimes feel like you're not quite getting the tactile feedback that you want. Sometimes it almost comes across as a bit mushy, but it is more of a preference thing. I personally do like it. I just wish there was a little bit more tactile feel to the keyboard. So on the ZBook Power G7, the F12 key serves as a custom button. This button is incredibly convenient. You can use this button to launch any website you would like. You can use this button to launch almost any program on your computer, and you can use this button to automatically enter a certain key of text. A likely use case for this particular feature could be a video editor. Video editors often need to open several programs at once. At the click of a button, you can have Premiere open, you can have Lightroom open, you can have an internet file open if you need to access a particular document. You can have a number of different things open at the click of a button. It is incredibly convenient. I cannot overstate this feature. This represents a fairly mid-range configuration of this device. I found that it performed fairly well in Cinebench R23, and the Blackmagic disk speed test was quite good as well. In real-world use, I found the performance to be very good. I tested this device with 4K MP4 footage and Red RAW footage. I did a test with a 17-minute long 4K clip. I rendered this clip down to 1440p, and it took 45 minutes to do. During this time, the CPU was maxed at 100% at around 2.98 gigahertz. I was using about 7.1 gigs of the 16 gigs of RAM, and I had about 20% GPU utilization during that test. Is this device perfect? Not quite. So the first problem that I have with the device is actually fairly easy to fix. I found that the fans would kick on for no obvious reason and then turn off and then turn on, and it was really annoying because I would just have a web page open. I found out that the reason this was happening was because of a Windows security feature called Smart Screen. Normally features like this are incredibly helpful. However, Smart Screen was taking 20% of my CPU constantly. I could go into Task Manager and end the task, but then after about a minute it would just pop right back up. This is incredibly inconvenient for me because I need as much of the CPU as I can get in order to edit videos. I don't want some background app taking up 20% of my CPU utilization. Luckily, the fix is very simple. All you have to do is go into the Windows security and you can actually disable Smart Screen. Once this is disabled, the problem should go away. Again, many of you may not see this problem, but if you do, I want you to understand what it is and how easy it is to correct it. Keep in mind that when you disable Smart Screen, you're not disabling all Windows security features. You're only disabling one specific feature. If this feature is taking up a large portion of your CPU, you may want to disable it. This device is fairly easy to upgrade. You unscrew 5 screws on the bottom of the device and then lift up the metal bottom plate. Once you do this, you will see that there are 2 easily accessible RAM slots and 2 M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs. I got my configuration with a 256 gig drive. I would highly encourage you not to populate the second drive through HP's website, as in my experience the prices are fairly high. I was able to get a 500 gigabyte Samsung SSD for $45, whereas on HP's website that same upgrade would be over $300. Overall, would I recommend the HP ZBook Power G7? I would say yes. This device has a great keyboard. It has a lot of great features, including a smart card reader, number pad, fingerprint reader, Windows Hello if you opt for that. It has a nice sized battery, a fairly good screen with a peak brightness of 400 nits, great overall build quality. This device feels incredibly premium and incredibly solid. I would say that HP have created a very compelling business-like alternative to RGB gaming computers, and I would highly recommend it. Just like I would recommend this book, Red Sprites and Blue Jets. Red Sprites and Blue Jets is a coming-of-age story about a young boy named Cooper whose mom was recently diagnosed with lung cancer. One stormy night, Cooper sees glowing objects that he interprets to be ghosts, leading him and his best friend Wesley on a crazy ghost hunt. This novel is funny and heartfelt and perfect for kids ages 10 to 14. Check it out at the link below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content. And be sure to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.